Hi, welcome. So in this video, we are going to move a bit away from the DQL commands, the data query language that we've been using since, and the select family. And then we are going to just take alter and update from the data management language, the DML, and the DDL, the data definition language. We're just going to pick from them, update, and we are going to pick alter from there. I know you already looked at drop before when we were creating this database, and things like insert when we were creating this database. So let's just use some of those commands to be able to add maybe a column to an existing table, or modify a table with setting a certain value from an old value to a new value. So there might be times you need to do that. So let's look at that in this video. Let's just go straight to the computer and see how these functions can help us do just that. So here we have created our databases. In an earlier video, we had a script that was shared to you. I think the name of the video is create the databases. So you just go and watch that video and recreate the same database. So in this database, we have the staff demographic table, which is this one. And then we have the staff salary table, which is this one. So let me just create a new script, and then we are going to look at what to do there. So the staff demographic table has the staff ID, the first name, the last name, age, gender. So imagine we wanted to add a new column. In the earlier videos, when we were creating this database, we were creating it from scratch. So we just used our create database, create table, insert values, insert into, and then we just did that, and we had all these column names were stated, and then we were just putting in the values. Now we have an old table that already exists, and then we want to be able to alter that table. So that's why the alter function is used. We need to alter it by adding, say, a new column called, say, date of birth for each of our staff, for example. Now we have information of the date of birth of each of our staff, and we want to add it to this table. So let's go down and see how we do that. So the thing we have to do is to call an alter table. So you have to alter a table. That's the function. So now it says, what is the name of the table? You need to specify the name of the table, staff demographic. And then you now say the table is ready for altering. What do you want to do now to the table? It's ready to be altered, to be changed. So you say, I want to add birth date. So here I want to add birth date. And then now you need to specify the type of the values that will be there. What's the type of birth date? Is it going to be an integer? Is it going to be a voucher? We saw that in the previous video, so you can always go back and check. But in this case, it's going to be a date. So SQL knows what is a date data type. So when we run this now, let's run this. Okay, we see it runs successfully. So we can always check that by going now to this select, and then we run it, and we see now we have a new birth date column that has been created. And since initially in the old table we didn't have any birth dates, it comes new and it's waiting now for you to continue here with maybe 113, and then maybe you add the new names, add the new the first name, last name, age, gender, birth date. So this is, you've been able to alter the table and add a new column with this alter table command. And then you might want to drop this column. Maybe you don't want this column anymore, remember? So we just go to, it's simple. We have looked at drop before, but now you already have an existing table. So, and you don't want to drop the entire table like we saw in the previous video. But this one now, you want to drop just that column which you added, like this birth date. So what are you going to do? You'll still call the alter first, alter table. You still have to say, I want to alter this table. So let me just close this one so that we continue here. Alter the table, and then the name of the table is the staff demographic table. And from there you do a drop. Now that's when you can now do a drop command, and then you say, I want to drop a column, because you need to specify what you want to drop. And what is the name of that column? The name of the column is birth date. Birth date. The name of that column is birth date. So now if you run this, it's executed successfully. And then when you check, let's just do this select staff from and check and see the table. Now we see that the column birth date has been dropped out of this table. So that you now are able to see that you can add a column and you can drop it. So let's insert the column back again. So, and now let's try to create, insert the column, and then try to add maybe some new values and see how it's going to behave. So we can go back again, and then we do our alter again here, run it. We know that it has been created like the first time. And then now what we want to add here, let me just put a semicolon here. So what we want to add here now is we want to insert some values. So if we remember, when we're creating the database, we inserted based on we opened some brackets, close brackets, and then we just knew that we had a staff ID, which was an integer. We put 101, Michael, Ambe, comma, 25, comma, male, comma, and now we have this extra column. So if we want to be able to insert now, we have to take into consideration that we now have a birth date. So we can't just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entries. We now have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 entries to be able to get without, if not, we'll get an error because there's one entry that has been left out. So let's go now. We can bring the insert. So insert, and then now you can now insert into the staff demographic, call it staff demographic. Then you say, I want to insert values. Then like we saw in the other video, so you should be able to say, what are the values that I want to insert? So I want now to give them in this bracket. So maybe we want to add a 113, a new staff, 113, and then the name of the staff is Jude. The last name is Ryan. The staff is 27. So now you know age is the next one. The staff is male. And also now you need to put now the date of birth. So we'll just put this here. So let's just put this. So 1988. Let's just say 1988. 06. Let's just say 01. So we do that and then we close it. So let's run this. So now let's check what has happened here. So as expected, we have the Jude, Ryan, 27, male, and then 198801. So we've successfully been able to insert new values after adding that the column. So you can also decide to say, maybe this value, I don't want just this value. So how do you delete just this value without deleting, say, the whole table, just this line? Because we've seen how to delete the column, to drop the column with the alter drop here. Now we want to be able to delete this 113 jute and take it out of here. So this is how you're going to do that. So you're going to say delete from. So you have to use a delete from, and then you call the name of the table staff. So let me close this one. And then we call the name of the table staff demographic. And then now you say where you need to specify. Now it's a filter. Remember, where is like a filter if you're used to Excel. So staff ID equals to 113. So let's run this. Okay, so let's check what is the problem. So it says you're using save update mode and you tried to update a table without a where that uses a key column. So what it's saying here is to disable save mode, toggle the option in preferences SQL editor. So this is because by default this could be a production database, and deleting is something which is really very delicate. So the save mode by default protects you from deleting something from this database. So we need to go manually and disable that functionality by going to edit, preference, then you go to SQL editor, come down here, and this is where this is what is stopping it from working. Save updates, rejects updates, and deletes with no restrictions. So it is rejecting that delete because I'm just trying to delete an entire row of data, and since data is precious, it is trying to protect me from doing this. So if I want to do that, I'll need to uncheck this, and means that it should not bother about that. And then I click on OK, and then I close this entire workbench, come back to reconnect from scratch. And because I've now, when I do that modification, I have to close, go out, come back in again, log in again, then it's going to take effect from the next connection. So I'll just close this my SQL workbench, come back, open it back again, and then from there now I'm going to run this same command, and it's going to work because I have given it the capability to delete things from the database. Remember, in production environment, you should really avoid doing this because once you delete the data, it's gone. So let me just close this, come back, and then we are able to run this command again and see the effect. So here is my SQL workbench that I'm reopening again. I just closed it, so I'm reopening. Let me relaunch. I already saved my password in the vault. That's why it doesn't ask me for my password again. So now I'm going to go here, and then this is the command we want to run. So let's run this command. And now when we run the command now, we don't get any error again because we've disabled that functionality. So now if we go to our table and check, we see that we don't have the 113 anymore. So we are able to delete, and it's not going to disturb, it's not going to give us that warning again. So that was it for the delete. And then now you might want to update an existing value like this 101 up here, because what was easier to do was just to add new columns, new rows, and keep going. 113 and all its values, 114 and all its values, 115 and all its values. But what about modifying an existing, like this 101, give it its birth date now that you have the information. 102, give it its own birth date now that you have the information. So how do we do that? So this is what now I'm going to show you how to do that. So we are just going to use the update command now. So we use the update, and then we call the staff table. So let me just close this one again, close this, and then we call the staff table the staff demographic, and then we go to set. So you have to use the set now function. So set now birth date, birth date to, now we give it a date. So let me just give it a date like 1988, 005 05 01. Then we close that, and then now we say where, you have to specify the where staff ID, staff ID. So let's say where staff ID, yeah, ID now equal to 101. So we are saying go and update this staff demographic table, and then set the birth date column, this column, to 1988 0501 on this row here where staff ID equals to 101. So look for staff ID 101, look for the birth date column and update here. Let's run this and let's see what is going to happen. Let's run it. So when we run this, now if we go here to our table here, run it, we see that our 101 now carries this birth date. So you've been able to go back in retrospect and add and modify and put now birth dates that were not existing before. So you can go back now and enrich your table before you continue now from the next observations to send in all the 6 columns, filling all the information like this. So we can now just drop this column so that our database returns to how it was before. So we can go again and call the alter. So let me close this one again, close, alter, table, staff demographic, drop column. Remember, that's what we looked at earlier, drop column. And what's the name of the column? Birth date. So drop this column called birth date. So when we run this, then we go back to your select from, run it, and then you see we have all this, our data is back as it was before. So you can still just go back now, right now, go back to your preferences if you're in the production data, and then you click here, and then you put back your save, rejects, put your updates, and when you close and you reconnect the next time, it will prevent you from doing the delete like we saw the last time. So I hope you have been able to learn some of the DML and the DDL commands, which are interesting, so that you have an understanding of how to manipulate, update, delete, modify your tables, columns, and rows and values. See you next video. Wish you good data luck.